It's a book I love, so it's kind of fun for me. You use a different part of your brain. It's the state of not feeling that you belong to one place or another, and I think everyone has their own version of that. I thought that the way that Colin depicted her, the pain of being in, wanting to be in two places at once, it was such a beautiful balancing act, and it seemed to me to lend itself particularly well to film. If a young woman can identify with any of the characters in Pride and Prejudice, they'd be able to identify with Brooklyn. And of course, at its heart, there is a sort of timeless choice story between two different kinds of young men. So, in part, it's about what it's like to be that age and in love and not knowing your own mind. Eilis is from a small Irish town, and she's got literally no opportunities in her hometown. She's a smart girl, but there's not going to be no work for her. So a priest that the family know arranges for her to go and live in Brooklyn, New York, and she settles there. She starts to work there. She starts to make something of her life. She meets a young man, and then a family tragedy sends her back to Ireland, where it turns out there is more opportunity than there had been, and there's more young men than there had been, and she sort of duplicated her Brooklyn life in Dublin, and she has to choose which version she wants. Do I think she makes the right decision? Yes, I do. As someone who grew up in the suburbs and was counting the days until he could get somewhere else, then I identify more with the American part of the journey than the Irish, and I think if you ask John Crowley, he probably feels the same as well. I think she's incredible in the film. I think there's so much detail in her performance and empathy, and I think she breaks your heart. It had to work on its emotional content, and everything relied on that. And John's done such a magnificent job, I think, of finding the emotional heart of the story, that it does seem to me intensely moving. People will feel, or the right people that will feel when they've seen this film, that they haven't seen anything like it for a long time. I won't say ever, because it's quite a traditional feeling film, but it's like a very powerful 1950s, 1940s weepy, like A Brief Encounter or something like that. So I think that when you come out of it, then I want people to feel that they've been through the ringer. I'm not a very good actor, and so I'm reading these lines to myself when I'm writing them, and they seem okay to me. But when Julie Walters delivers them, there's so much more grain to them, and she finds comedy and she finds wit and observation in things that I didn't know it was in there, and she finds something. And I think the cast done that all over, and I think that as a group, they feel like a fantastic ensemble cast.